Before you begin spraying a site, it's important that you actually look at the site and think about it as an individual location within your park. And what that means is size up. So part of size up with regards to using herbicides or treating non-native invasive species is thinking about everything in the resource around and within the area that you're going to be treating. So here we have a pretty good patch of Kogan grass. It's one that we didn't happen to realize was here at the park, only found it recently because of some other management activities. And thankfully the person that found it went ahead and flagged it when they located it, which is a really good step to have all the park staff used to doing to help people continue to find things. When you come out to think about spraying this, you need to think about a bunch of different things. First, are you sure it's the species you think it is? That's pretty important. Are there critical resources within or around the infestation that you need to protect that might guide you to take a different management activity than you might in a different location? Some of those resources could be threatened or endangered species. Some of them might be things like a wetland. There's a small wetland right next to this infestation of Kogan grass. Other things might be hazards that could affect you or the personnel that are out doing the spraying. So inside this dense thatch of Kogan grass in the Basin Marsh in Paynes Prairie State Park, one of the common hazards that we need to think about are venomous snakes. And that's probably true for your park as well. There's also the additional factor of feral hogs, which there are a lot of in the prairie, and definitely like areas with dense cover like this. So you need to kind of think those things through, and then you also have to factor in weather on the day that you're going to spray. The weather could either determine that you don't spray if there's rain in the forecast, or that you approach spraying the patch in a certain pattern because of wind. And you can see the invasive plant flagging can actually help you determine which direction the wind is blowing if you're not sure. Watch the way that the flag moves and it'll tell you the prevailing wind direction. All of those things need to be considered. You may need to use an aquatic approved herbicide if you're in a wet site. You also need to use an aquatic approved surfactant or adjuvant if you're in a wet site. Those things are all part of your size up. So when you're conducting a foliar spray, in this case in a patch of Kogan grass, there's a few things you want to keep in mind. One, you need to work systematically through the area. You never want to put yourself in the position of walking through an area you just sprayed. So to approach spraying, you need to walk to the far side of your infestation and then work your way backwards to your exit path. You'll do that in multiple transects next to each other to achieve full coverage in the path. As you're spraying the foliage, the important things to remember are achieving 100% coverage on the individual blades of grass. So that means from tip to bottom, you want to achieve that full coverage with the herbicide. In addition, you want to spray to what's called wet to the point of runoff. So that means not spraying to the point where the herbicide is just pouring off the leaf, but just where it's wet enough where it's evenly spread over the leaf and you get full coverage. You never want to spray over your head. When you're doing that, you're increasing your risk of exposure to the herbicide and also increasing the risk of non-target damage due to drift. As you spray, you are going to encounter some native plants. You can limit your impact on them to some degree by choosing the spray direction that points away from them, but there is going to be some amount of non-target damage that you can't avoid. So it's important to understand what are the most critical species to protect and make certain that you take additional precautions with those species and try and limit that non-target spray on the other species as much as you can.